Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavad-Gita, 4th chapter, titled as Transcendental Knowledge, text 15. Evam jnatva kritam karma purvairapi mumukshibhihi kuru karmaiva tasmatvam purvai purvattaram kritam. Evam jnatva kritam karma purvairapi mumukshubhihi kuru karmaiva tasmatvam purvai purvattaram kritam. Evam jnatva kritam karma purvairapi mumukshubhihi kuru karmaiva tasmatvam purvai purvatvaram kritam. Evam, thus, jnatva, knowing well, kritam, was performed, karma, work, purvai, by past authorities, api, indeed, mumukshubhihi, who attained liberation, kuru, just perform, karma, prescribed duty, eva, certainly, tasmat, therefore, tvam, you, purvahi, by the predecessors, purvataram, in the ancient times, kritam, as performed. Translation. All the liberated souls in the ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. Repeat, please. All the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Srila Prabhupada Ki. Purport. There are two classes of men. Some of them are fully of polluted material things within their hearts, and some of them are materially free. Krishna consciousness is equally beneficial for both of these persons. Those who are full of dirty things can take to the line of Krishna consciousness for a gradual cleansing process following the regulative principles of devotional service. Those who are already cleansed of the impurities may continue to act in the same Krishna consciousness so that others may follow their exemplary activities and there be benefited. Foolish persons or neophytes in Krishna consciousness often want to retire from activities without having knowledge of Krishna consciousness. Arjuna's desire to retire from activities on the battlefield was not approved by the Lord. One need only know how to act. To retire from the activities of Krishna consciousness and to sit aloof making a show of Krishna consciousness is less important than actually engaging in the field of activities for the sake of Krishna. Arjuna is here advised to act in Krishna consciousness, following in the footsteps of Lord's previous disciples, such as the sun god Vivaswan, as mentioned herein before. The Supreme Lord knows all his past activities as well as those of persons who acted in Krishna consciousness in the past. Therefore, he recommends the acts of sun god who learned this art from the Lord some millions of years before. All such students of Lord Krishna are mentioned here as past liberated persons engaged in discharge of duties allotted by Krishna. Om Jnana Trimirandandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Shra Namo He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Shri Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanustute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna everyone. Today, as we have started reading Transcendental Knowledge, the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad-Gita, as I was reading the verse just now, I got the thought of understanding how Krishna was telling about Purvair, Purvataram. So he's emphasizing on the same word 3 times. That means, which is talking about ancient, it is talking about predecessors, and it is also talking about the past authorities. And in English, it's a saying old is gold. So we see how Krishna is also going on the same line, that how this is real gold. So here Srila Prabhupada is talking about, in the purport, about 2 classes of men. How someone is with full of material desires and polluted. And other category is who is fully cleansed. And how Krishna consciousness is a platform for both of the people who can practice even before liberation, and even if you're liberated. Still, Krishna consciousness is the real platform for the spiritual entity. And before we go more deeper into the verse, I just want to talk something about transcendental knowledge. What is knowledge? Knowledge means something, it's education, and also it is an information. But then Krishna adds a prefix called transcendental to the knowledge. So this transcendental knowledge means that which is beyond the beginning and end, and which is beyond the permutations and adaptations of our own physiological or psychological makeover. Because we can put or understand according to what we see, what we perceive, or what we can understand. But this knowledge, Krishna is saying, this is beyond what you can understand or perceive. It can be only revealed through me. So Krishna is taking that charge. Now what Gita is doing to us is, it is taking us to a platform of which is beyond this temporary domain, which is not limited by space or time. And what is Krishna doing here? He is asking Arjuna, and using Arjuna, he is asking us to join into a wise group. He is calling us to join into a wise group. Why is he asking us to join in the wise group? So that we can become successful. But for what we have to be successful? We will be successful individually and on an account of on a mass level over this material illusion. So when we join this wise group, we will become successful. Now, how is this possible? By just joining the group. It is by this timeless spiritual knowledge, by this timeless spiritual culture and art. What is Krishna teaching us? Because he is infinite super consciousness and we are minute particle consciousness. So we have this connectivity of this minute particle of consciousness is coming from Krishna, who is infinite in his super consciousness. So one may say that, I'm happy here. I don't need to access to this transcendental knowledge. But then there is a question, do we have a need? Yes, we have a need. Everyone is looking for a kind of freedom. Everyone wants to experience a freedom. So how can I experience freedom to the complete? This is what is the problem with Arjuna also. Arjuna does not want to fight. From the beginning of the first chapter, after observing the armies on the Kurukshetra, he decided he doesn't want to fight. Because he thinks that if he does according to him, that is his freedom. So in the similar way, we also have a certain kind of boundaries to our thinking. And we think that if we act like this, I'll feel I am free. I'll feel that I can experience freedom. But then Krishna is saying, you can increase your freedom by actually connecting yourself to the spiritual reality rather than being on the material dreams. So Prabhupada also often explains by this analogy of this hand. If the hand is attached to the body, then it has the all mechanism, it has an experience, it can perform the activities. But once it gets severed from the body, it becomes dysfunctional. And it doesn't experience any of those sensations, or it doesn't have the freedom to move around because it itself is incomplete. So similarly, we are always dependent on Krishna. We are never independent of our existence. Now, coming back to this verse, Krishna is saying, you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. Whose footsteps? The predecessors. From where? From the ancient times, from time immemorial. They are following my instructions, and by following, they were successful. So if you want success, if you want freedom, then you have to get onto their way. Now, someone may say that I'm a hardcore materialistic person. I just want to deal with the matter, the way it moves or the way it is modified in terms of either material things or family members or the bodily concept. But even if they are even if you're a hardcore materialistic person, if you are situated yourself into a boat of this transcendental knowledge, then you will be able to cross this ocean of material miseries. This is what Krishna says in 436. Krishna says, even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all the sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries. So here Krishna is first, he's telling why it has to be followed. Second, he's telling what is the advantage of following that transcendental knowledge. And Srila Prabhupada also says, the knowledge which comes from Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is perfect. Because he is infinite, he is beyond this material conception. And at the same time, Prabhupada compares this Krishna consciousness movement, the process itself, to a boat, which is, to get into this boat, it's actually simple. And not only it's simple, it is also very sublime. So we have to keep a note of that we have to be engaged in Krishna consciousness. Whether we are purified or whether we are not purified, doesn't matter. Just get onto this boat of this transcendental knowledge. Now, another interesting thing I saw was this particular 4th chapter is placed between the 3rd chapter, which is called Karma Yoga, and the 5th chapter, which is called Karma Yoga Action in Krishna Consciousness. And then in this chapter, there is a lot of emphasis on what is spiritual knowledge, what is the relationship between the Jiva and Krishna, and about his activities, and why he comes from time to time is mentioned, accepting the predecessors, accepting the bona fide spiritual master, and distinguishing between different kinds of modes of actions, which you will be studying from tomorrow onwards. And then Krishna, if you see, this is Krishna's perfect timing for Arjuna to make him understand, because before he was talking about karma yoga, and now he wants Arjuna to make a shift from karma yoga to karma yoga in action and Krishna consciousness. But he need to have a foundation. So this is where he is giving this transcendental knowledge. He is talking about Janma Karma Chame Divyam Evam. Sorry, one sec, I would say better. Evam yo veti tatvatah taktva deham puna janma naiti mam iti so Arjuna. Just by understanding his Krishna's transcendental nature, one is able to overcome this cycle of birth and death. So he is emphasizing that this is the core of your action or of your activity should be, nothing else. And then in the few coming verses you will see that how he is also emphasizing on accepting a bona fide spiritual master and having a submissive attitude to inquire from the spiritual master. And then what can this knowledge do to us? And in all this thing, he's establishing the authenticity of the transcendental knowledge. And in this particular verse, he's saying that you will become successful because it has been proven in the past. You no need to doubt about whether I'll be successful or not, because this is a question of a common man. If I do this work, will I be successful? This is the first question. At least I keep asking for myself. So I'm always ahead of asking into the fruitative mode. If the action is not going to lead into a positive result, I would not even consider. So even Arjuna is also on the same platform, thinking that why I have to engage in this warfare, why I have to kill so many people. But then Krishna is saying, don't act on your mental speculation. You, by acting, you are establishing dharma, and this is according to my principles. This is my instruction to you. So you should act on it. Then all these aspects, establishing the authenticity, telling who are successful, why Arjuna has to do this, Krishna is winning the heart of Arjuna by establishing faith. And this is what we do as well. When someone comes to ISKCON temple, we preach, we are nice, we are kind, we tell them about Krishna, we help them to chant the holy name, we give them our association, we give them prasadam. This is also an establishment of that faith, so that they can come and accept this transcendental knowledge and cross this ocean of material birth and death. And Srila Prabhupada spoke on this particular verse, Bhagavad-Gita 4:15 in 1974. And Prabhupada was talking about how today's modern society is emphasizing on new solutions. But the problems are old. These new solutions doesn't work to the old problems because they don't even identify what is the problem. He says that it's like an old wine in the same bottle. So someone wants to they want to remain young. So they have started the whole cosmetic industry. And someone wants to prolong their living expectancy. So they have so many modern pills coming into action. And someone has a premature babies or some problems in the birth. So they have come up with new techniques. Or someone doesn't want wrinkles, so they have, again, the same cosmetic industry. So they're fighting with the same principles, birth, death, old age and disease. But they're fighting on a different platform, on the platform of the material mind, material speculation. But Prabhupada is saying, this is the same thing. The whole Bhagavad-Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, what Krishna is saying, all the sages and the parampara are dealing with the same thing, to get us out of this problem. But this is not the process. The process is to follow Krishna's instructions. And And this spiritual knowledge acts as an armor to the living entity. Because the living entity, as we see in the chapter 2 of Bhagavad-Gita, that the living entity cannot be killed, cut, or burnt by the fire or by weapons. But how can you protect this living entity? By giving it as a spiritual knowledge and getting it trained. So every living entity, when here Prabhupada also says that everyone comes with a nature, a particular nature, and we have to see that we don't act beyond our nature. But who will identify this nature? This nature can be identified by a bona fide spiritual master. And who has established this system? This system is also established by Krishna. I've 14. One second. Chaturvannam maya shrashtam guna karma vibhagasya tasya krattaham apimam vidye akritam avyayam. So he's saying 4 divisions of the human society are also created by Krishna himself. But what is that purpose of creating that 4 divisions of spiritual orders or the ashrams is only to engage in Krishna consciousness. Externally you will be occupied in different occupational duties, but internally the core idea is to be engaged in Krishna consciousness. And in this particular aspect, there's one verse highlighting why it is important to learn from Krishna. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto. Shrinvatam swa kata Krishna punya shravana kirtana hridaya anantosto hi abhadrani vinudoti sratam. Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart and benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses the desire for the material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So even Krishna is emphasizing, just by listening, just by taking up this transcendental knowledge, your heart will be cleansed, and then you will become a liberated soul. And this is the process what everyone has followed. And someone may ask a question, but I don't see such a need in my life. I think I am pure in my heart. I don't have any dirty things. Then Srila Prabhupada in the 1st canto, in one of the texts, I didn't know the reference, but in one of the purports, Prabhupada writes a beautiful description, how this whole world is full of questions and answers. The beast, birds and men are all busy in matter of perpetual questions and answers. In the mornings, the birds in the nest become busy with questions and answers, and the evening also the same birds come back again and again, become busy with question and answers. This is even amongst the birds. And the human beings, unless he is fast asleep at night, is busy with question and answers. The businessmen in the market are busy with question and answers. And so also the lawyers in the court and the students in the schools and colleges. The legislators in the parliament are also busy with question and answers. The politicians and press representatives are also busy with question and answers. And they all are not satisfied. That's why they keep asking so many questions, so many answers. But the real satisfaction of the soul can be only obtained by the question and answers on the subject of Krishna. Why? Because Krishna is our most intimate master, friend, father or son, and an object of conjugal love. Forgetting Krishna, we have created so many objects of question and answers, but none of them are able to give us complete satisfaction. All things, but Krishna give temporary satisfaction only. So if we have to have the satisfaction, then we have to take to the right questions and answers about Krishna. We cannot even live for a moment without being questioned or without giving answers. Because the Srimad Bhagavatam deals with question and answers that are related to Krishna, we can derive the highest satisfaction only by reading and hearing this transcendental knowledge. So one should learn the Srimad Bhagavatam and make an all-round solution to all problems pertaining to social, political and religious matters. Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna are the sum total of all things. So now we have seen, if someone has asked you a question, why I need, so you can answer. We always are asking question and answers, but your real question and answers should be about yourself and your relation to Krishna, and knowing why it is a need to understand. And here, when you come to the end of the purport, Srila Prabhupada is giving an example of how Krishna is referring Arjuna to learn from Vivaswan, the sun god, and how the Vivaswan has been executing his orders from Krishna. This is from millions of years ago. And again, we'll learn something about sun god and his activities from Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a small storyline I can read for you. The entire Kala Chakra or wheel of time is established on the wheel of sun god's chariot. This wheel is known as Samvatsara. The 7 horses are pulling the chariot of sun are known as Gayatri, Brihati, Ushnuki, Jagati, Trishtipi, Anushtup and Pankti. They are hastened by a demigod known as Aruna Deva to yoke 9 lakh yojanas wide. Thus the chariot carries Aditya Deva, the sun god. Always standing in the front of the sun god and offering their prayers are 60,000 sages known as Vakhilyas. There are 14 Gandharvas, Apsaras and other demigods who are divided into 7 parties and who perform ritualistic activities every month to worship Super Soul through the sun god according to different names. Thus the sun god travels through the universe of a distance of 95 crores, maybe 100,000 yojanas at a speed of 16,004 miles at every moment. This is the speed the sun is moving. And the sun is not stationary. It is also not moving like other planets. The sun's movement determines the duration of night and day. When sun travels north of equator, it slowly during the day and very quickly at the night, thus increasing the daytime and decreasing the duration of night time. So similar is vice versa. The sun god who controls the affair of the entire universe, especially in regard to heat, light, seasonal changes and so on, is considered to be expansion of Narayana. He represents the 3 Vedas, Rig, Yajur and Sama, and therefore he is known as Traimaya, the form of Lord Narayana. Sometimes the sun god is also called Surya Narayana. The sun god has expanded himself in 12 divisions, and thus he controls the 6 seasonal changes and causes winter, summer, rain and so on. And in the modern science, there is a particular branch who study about the science. It is called helioseismology. And what do they do here? They observe the sun, they observe the waves on the sun, and they try to study the interior parts of the sun. But you see in the Vedic scriptures how detailed it is being given, how sun itself is a personality, as we have learned already in Bhagavad-Gita, and what are his activities. And why is he doing? Whatever the seasonal changes what occurring today are happening because Krishna is instructed. This is necessary for the living entities. You have to carry out this particular aspects. And similar to the sun god, there is also a famous king who is also a very great devotee. His name is Maharaj Priyamvrata. Even Priyamvrata, he was engaged in devotional service. Once he became dissatisfied with the circumambulation of most powerful sun god. So he decided to do something extraordinary. Encircling Sumeru hill on his chariot, the sun god illuminates all surrounding planetary systems. However, when the sun is on the north side of the hill, the south receives less light. When the sun is on the south, the north receives less. So King Priyavrata disliked this situation. He didn't like this situation. And therefore he decided to make daylight in the part of the universe where there was night. He followed the orbit of sun god on a brilliant chariot and thus fulfilled his desire. He could ride his chariot so that he could illuminate, so that there is no darkness prevailing in the universe. He could perform such wonderful activities because of the power he had achieved by worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So one just doesn't only cross the ocean of material birth and death, but they can also enhance to do these extraordinary activities. Of course, our goal is not to do these extraordinary activities, but just to create a faith. What Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad-Gita is doing to us is establishing this faith that we have to follow this Krishna conscious process, following these predecessors from the ancient times, and we can become more successful. And Prabhupada writes one particular sentence: one need only know how to act. So we just need to know how to act that would please Krishna and that would please Guru. And of course, it is again coming in the coming verses, we will see that how important is to accept this transcendental knowledge and the spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master. So I'll get to the summary of what we studied today. We studied what is transcendental knowledge. We defined what is transcendental knowledge. And we have seen why Krishna is calling us to join in a wise group, and how there is a need to increase this freedom through the spiritual reality, but not through the material dreams. And what happens when we accept this transcendental knowledge? We get onto the boat and we can cross this material ocean of miseries. And Srila Prabhupada coins this Krishna consciousness is that boat which is simple, at the same time is sublime. And we see Krishna's timing as how he is emphasizing on this transcendental knowledge before he is allowing Arjuna to act, just by saying, just to win the heart of Arjuna's faith, winning Arjuna's heart and establishing his faith. And just by listening to Krishna and his messages, one's heart will be cleansed. And this is the most and foremost message of this chapter. And how Prabhupada is saying, old wine in a new bottle, how the scientists are approaching to the same aspect on a material platform, but we can cross over and they don't know this solution, and we are more lucky. And then we have learned stories about the sun god and his activities from Srimad Bhagavatam, and how Maharaj Priyavrata. So, and then Krishna is also saying Arjuna not just to follow blindly, but he is asking him to see, to perceive, and to learn from the predecessors. And this is what Prabhupada was also mentioning. Don't accept anything blindly. You can ask questions, learn from others, see by yourself. And even in Bhagavad-Gita 9 chapter, second one, Pratyaksha Avagamanam. That means by direct perception you can sense this Krishna conscious movement. So any questions or comments or corrections, please? Thank you. Question? Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for your lecture. My question, you said we just should follow instructions of Krishna in Bhagavad-Gita.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Krishna said, I divided the society on 4 varna, 4 ashrama, yes. Another place, Srila Prabhupada explained, Shudra always in Tamaguna, Vaishya, Tamas Rajas, Kshatriya Rajas, Brahmana, Sattva guna. But in this age we chant Hare Krishna mantra, and devotee, if chant 16 rounds and more, he waking up, yes, from Tamaguna, Rajaguna, yes.
Yes.
And how devotee can fulfill his instructions to be Shudra in society and to be a devotee, upper of three guna of modes. How it's possible to be in gunas and out of gunas at the same time?
Okay. So your question is, how can a devotee be in the gunas at the same time execute his occupational duties? At the same time, how he can be above these gunas and act on the platform of a devotee? This is not my answer. This is what I heard from Srila Prabhupada on this particular verse. Prabhupada has given a lecture in 1974. It's in ISKCON Desire Tree. In that particular Prabhupada was also talking about the nature of how we acquire nature according to the three modes. And he was talking about Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Sudra. And Prabhupada gave an example how a person may be sweeping the temple. Okay? By externally you may say that he is in the lower category. But because he is practicing Krishna consciousness, he is also eligible to go and do the deity worship. Because on the Krishna consciousness platform, whether you sweep the floor or whether you dress the deity, it's the same. So, yes, I mean, unless and until we completely come out of the material modes, we have to place, because it's like a barricade, so that we don't break out ourselves. But this barricade is not our final barricade. This is not our real nature. This is something acquired according to the modes of material nature. Right? But if we are intense in our Krishna conscious process, like through the process of nine process of devotional service, if we are intense, we will definitely raise our consciousness about these modes of material nature. Right? Until we come to that steady platform, like Krishna is talking about the Sthita Prajna. Even Sthita Prajna has this flow of desires in his heart, like the rivers are flowing into the ocean. But he is not acting on it, because it is a little bit of work what he did before to come to that platform. And for him, whether he is placed in Kshatriya, Brahmana, Vaishya, Sudra, it doesn't matter. But until he comes to that steadiness, one has to act on that platform. But how can someone determine whether someone is there at that platform or not? We cannot go and just decide, okay Prabhu, I don't like you to be this, you be a Kshatriya. I don't like this, you Mataji, so you better be a Vaishya. No, this is not the job. That's why we have to take the instructions of the bona fide spiritual master, who sees our nature, who engages us according to our nature. And how can we do it? By submissively rendering service to him and taking instructions. That will elevate us to the next platform. Yeah, I hope I answered.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.